Good morning. See if everyone else is awake.
Well, it seems right now that you have been spared, at least for the moment, from taking the quiz because it's on Blackboard. And Blackboard is decidedly down.
Yeah. Did you get, because I posted my English to Latin translations last night. So I think they posted, even if you...
I'm sure they are.
Okay.
I generally check about 8:30, which is when the deadline is,
okay.
and it was down then, so.
Okay.
I'll let you know if they're not, but
okay, yeah.
You'll be fine.
Okay.
No worries. Clearly this is not an issue. One of the many reasons why I'm glad we're just using Google. Google.
Yeah. Google doesn't go down
Sure.
often.
No. No. Actually, last year, they took Blackboard down in the middle of one of the tests I was giving.
Oh no!
For my students' sake, for my, it's just like
yeah.
Do that at like 10 at night, but not at 10 o'clock.
Not 10 in the morning.
Yeah. Class.
People use Blackboard in the summer too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. What happened to, I guess, the other guy that was in class?
He dropped the class.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot if you don't really want to learn Latin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's a rewarding class, but it's definitely you gotta put a lot into.
Yes.
Hello.
Morning.
So I have my AC in on the background. Can you hear it, or is it all good?
There's a little hum in the background, but if it becomes intolerable, we'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. So I saw your email, Blackboard's down.
Yep. I got an email this morning saying we'd be down from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Okay. But still
and
down.
I was optimistic that might actually be true, but yeah, it's still down.
Gotcha. I posted it last night, so is that fine if it's just, I don't even email?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'll just have to grade it later this afternoon, but.
Okay.
And as I was telling Rachel, it looks like you all lucked out because I can't give you a quiz if I don't have Blackboard. So maybe I'll be up by the break time, and
We'll see.
at least you will have reviewed more, so hopefully you'll be even more prepared. Haha! Blackboard is back.
All right.
All right. Okay. Okay. So, if you all do you have any questions before you take the quiz, which now you can take? Blackboard is back.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay.
The computer is not very smart, so like if you want to say first person and you type first, it will get it. If you type 1ST, it will not understand. But again, I promise that I will go through and understand. So if you put in a lot of right answers and then it doesn't understand it, that's okay. No worries.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
My quiz isn't on there. You're muted.
I'll do that immediately.
Okay.
Make it.
Oh, there it is. Good to go. It's there.
Rachel, looks like your video isn't working.
Okay. Let me try and leaving and coming back into the group chat.
Corey, maybe during the break I can try to help you troubleshoot. I mean, unless you have a Mac, in which case.
No, I don't. I mean,
Okay.
I do, but I'm not going to use it.
Okay. Then I think I can probably help you figure that out.
Okay. I feel really incompetent. Usually, I can figure it out.
No.
Okay.
It's okay. There's a pretty
Okay.
steep learning curve.
And you said you're going to go through and grade them if the computer, like if it didn't get the exact ones. Okay.
Yep. So
Because I feel like
read-
that happened.
I went through and graded quiz one actually while you were taking this.
Okay.
So yeah, quick question. I saw my results for quiz 1, and they looked really bad. Is that because I didn't have the macros? Or?
It improved significantly after I went through and yeah. It was ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't know that. Yeah. You look now, and you'll be kind of happy. Who still doesn't have the book?
Okay.
Or do you all have the book?
I have
I have the book.
Okay, great. So we're all on the same page and I don't need to. Aha, no pun intended. Scan anymore. Okay, so let's start with exercise 1. We'll just go over those sentences.
Yeah.
How did you find the homework for this?
It was a little difficult at first, but once I kind of clicked, it made more sense, I guess. And there's still some things I just don't.
Do you know what those things are? I mean,
Yeah.
are they particular sentences or just like,
No.
oh,
Yeah. No.
I
There's
really don't understand this concept?
no. There's a couple sentences that I just didn't quite like. If you do you want me to get into it? Do you want me to get into it now?
Well, so it's just particular sentences. There
Yeah.
isn't, like, I still don't get the accused.
No,
something
no,
like
no.
that. Okay.
Yeah. Just like a particular sentence.
Actually, why don't you tell me which sentences you
So for like 4,
Yep. Okay.
it's a question, and poet or poetisne, that's the object, right?
Indirect. Okay. So
The indirect object.
Yeah.
So like it didn't like because so like take 2 for example. The object is the second word in the sentence, but in
The
4,
direct object is a second.
Ah.
sentence. Yes.
okay.
Yes. So the accusative is a direct object. The dative is an indirect. But let's get started. Of the other 2 of you, okay-ish.
Yeah, pretty good. I
Yeah.
think question number 8 kind of threw me.
Yeah, that one took me a bit.
Yeah, I still didn't translate it completely. I just parsed it all. But
Okay.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with 8.
Okay, that's fine. It is actually sort of a weird sentence. And, I mean, almost every sentence that you could say is sort of weird without any context. And these, sentences are without context. So, yeah. And also they're like see, spot, run sort of sentences, except in Latin. So they're not particularly interesting. You don't know enough words, so they just say the same thing lots of different ways and say weird things because they can only say 2 things. Okay. Rachel, will you start number 2?
Number 2? Okay, so for number 2, I got the poet does not desire money and fame. Okay.
Do you doubt it for any real reason or just beginning?
I wasn't
So you
sure
don't
because
know.
you were saying something about that being the direct object or not the direct object, and then I was like, wait, what did I do for it?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So pecuniam and famam are both in the accusative. And right now, the only thing an accusative can do is be a direct object or be an object of a preposition.
Mhm.
It's not an object of a preposition. We know that first of all because there are no prepositions in the sentence at all.
Mhm.
So it's going to be the direct object.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Nathan, you take number 4.
So, will the queen give money to the poets?
Yes. Perfect. So Regina, nominative subject. David, will she give? Direct object, money, and then poetis. Theoretically, could be one of two cases. What are those two cases?
Could be the nominative or the ablative.
The dative or the ablative.
Yeah, dative.
Yeah.
And this
So,
is the third one.
well-
Yeah.
Dative or ablative. 3 or 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I like trying to.
Yeah. So the only way you know how to use an ablative right now is with a preposition. Don't have any prepositions, so probably not that, so probably dative. Also, if you have the verb to give, almost always you'll have an indirect object, right? You don't just give stuff. You've got to give it to somebody. And in fact, dative means, right, dodare dedi datus, right? Related to the giving. So, I mean, that's not like the only sentence you'll ever see with a dative is one that has the verb to give, but to help you remember that word, and the indirect object part might be helpful. Okay, good. Corey, will you take number 6?
Yeah, I had the women indeed will crown the poets with crowns.
Yes, good. Yeah, aim often is used to explain what went before. So if you say, I am happy, but someone wants to know why, you might say, aiming blah, 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 for I just won the lottery.
Okay.
Of course, there's nothing before this to explain, so it's a bit odd. But yeah,
Could you also say, of course, the women will crown the poets with crowns? So it says enum means of course as well, so they can put it before.
yeah, I mean you can. Yeah, it's generally used as an explanatory conjunction. You know, so yeah, but yeah, no, you could. That's fine. And then chronis, as you said, is an ablative with by means of crowns. So that's an ablative of means, if we want to be specific. Good. All right, Rachel, means you get number 8.
Yes, so that's the one I just kind of parsed and could not put together. So I have poets. That's in. Well, shoot.
Queta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Queen, native land from the crowd of women, and then that's. So the verb is, I guess, would it be like crowd or like an uproar or?
Opto, optare, optavi, optatus. This means to desire.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have this one. Okay. Sorry, I put that in a second line and my brain wasn't registering the second line the way it's written on my paper. Okay. So yeah. So optant is in the third person plural in the present.
Yes, okay, good. That's actually always where you should start. Be really solid about the main verb. Because not only that will tell you what tense, whatever, but it will also tell you what number. And that will tell you whether you're looking for a singular subject or a plural subject. So you actually want to find the verb before you find the subject.
Okay.
Okay, so we know optant, it's plural, third plural. We must be looking for a plural nominative, which is what?
A plural. How do we know it's a plural nominative?
Well, we know that the verb is plural.
Yeah.
And you have a plural verb if you have a plural subject.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right.
And the
Nominative.
subject must be nominative.
Okay.
Yeah.
So poets would be.
Mhm.
Yeah. So poets are doing the desiring.
Poets desire. That's all we got so far. Okay. And you generally desire something, so we're going to look for a direct object.
Okay. So queen. The queen.
Yes, the queen, or a queen. So the poets
Okay.
desire a queen.
Um,
And then Patriae,
from the crowd of women on the native land.
yeah, from the crowd of women is right, but on the native land, Patriae, what case is
From-
Patriae?
Patia is in the genitive or dative
Okay, genitive or dative.
data.
So try both. See what makes sense.
I think genitive makes more sense of the
Okay.
native land.
So the poets put it all together.
The poets desire a queen of
Yeah.
or
Of
from
their
the
country.
crowd of women of the native land.
So Patriae is right next to Reginam, so I think we should take those two together.
Okay.
So the poets desire a queen
A queen of the native land.
of
From-
their country from among the crowd
Okay.
of women. Could you potentially do a dative?
Yeah, because couldn't you say a queen for the country?
The
okay.
poets desire a queen for their country.
From
Like
the
from
crowd
this
of women.
crowd of women. Yeah.
Okay.
Really good. And this is actually a really good exercise to have a sentence that doesn't automatically make sense to you. Because when you read ancient stuff, often they will say things that don't make sense to you, but you can't just instinctively know, like, oh yeah, that's what he's going to say, that makes sense. I mean, Lucretius writes poetry about atomic theory that was written 2,000 years ago. It's very bizarre. I don't understand atomic theory now, and I certainly don't understand, like, ancient understanding of atomic theory. If I go into Lucretius trying to just, like, oh yeah, I probably can just figure it out, I'm going to impose my own understanding onto him. If I go in saying, you know what, idea what he's going to say, but I have to listen to what he says, then I'll be closer. I mean, I still don't get atomic theory at all, so, but I come closer. Good. Okay.
So I have a quick question about A. Could you use choose instead of desire? So the poets choose the queen for the nation from the crowd of women. Like they pluck a woman from the crowd.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's okay.
Nathan, will you take number 10?
Sure. I will be afraid to see torches on the road.
Yep. Okay. Great. Questions about that?
No, that one's actually pretty easy. That's one of the easier ones I thought.
If we're going along and someone translates something and it seems like, whoa, that was awesome, but I have no idea how they got there, just say so. Okay. Corey, will you take number 12?
Yeah. Did you see the crowd of women on the island?
Mm-hmm. And there's also we des. So we des versus we de boss. What are the two options? If you see that there are two verbs that they give you two different tenses.
Oh, yeah. So, what was going on there?
They want you to translate both tenses as two
both.
alternatives.
Okay.
So we de boss, were you seeing the crowd of women? We des.
And then, that would be yeah. What is that?
We dale, we dale.
Okay, so that's yeah.
Okay,
So that would be
conjugation.
imperfect, right?
We day bosses, yes.
So were you seeing?
Yeah. hmm
Okay. Were you seeing the crowd of women on the island?
Yeah. Versus we days.
Um, did you see? So singular versus, or I'm sorry.
Well, did you see is actually the perfect tense, and you don't know that. So nope, it's not
Oh, I see.
that.
Okay.
What tense is that? The present stem plus just e and then an ending.
Yeah. So that's. I'm sorry. We're talking about B
We
days,
days.
right? Or
Yeah.
we days. Yeah. So that would be first person, a present tense, right?
Yeah, second person,
Yeah, second
present
person.
tense, yes. So not did you see, but present.
Um, I'm sorry. What would it be then?
Well, just think about it. Like, ask me a question. Try to figure out if I can see something right now.
Can you see something right now?
Yeah. Or do you see this? Do
Yeah.
you see?
Okay.
Yeah. So do you see the crowd of women on the island, as opposed to did you
Oh,
see?
I'm
in the past?
sorry. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
don't be sorry. Brains. It takes a while to connect all these wires. Good. Rachel, number 14.
14. Poets are afraid of both penalty and fame,
Yes.
or punishment and fame. I guess
Punishment and fame.
that'd be a better way to say that.
Again, strange sentences, but whatever. Nathan, how about number 16?
Sailors terrified the women with torches.
Yes, the sailors were terrifying, were frightening.
Oh yeah, were
women.
terrifying is perfect. Yeah.
They were perfect. So, I mean, you can often translate once you get a little further along in Latin, translate an imperfect as a perfect in English, because we just don't say
Were terrified.
were terrifying a lot. But Latin uses, it's a little bit more precise, because if it's something that's going on in the past, it's going to tell you it in the imperfect, where we just put it into the perfect.
Got it.
Corey, number 18.
Yeah. So, will you be on the island with the queen?
Mm-hmm. And then there's also erruntne, errantne, and suntne.
Yeah. So, what's the difference between eruntne? Because that's future tense, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's future.
Is that the okay? And then so, were you on the island with the queen for errant?
Well, so errisne is second person singular, future. Erruntne is future, but not second person singular.
Oh, it's third person, plural.
Mm-hmm.
So, will they be on the island with the queen?
Yeah, exactly. And then errantne.
Were they on the island with the queen?
Mm-hmm. And then suntne.
And then that would be with the queen.
Yeah, are they on the island?
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Rachel, number 20.
Okay, so 20 was one I'm a bit shaky on. I parsed it out and tried to
Yes.
put it together.
I think they should have explained this to you, but I don't know if they did.
Okay.
No, doesn't seem like they did. This is a little bit of an idiom.
Okay. So I have the poet and then like of the sailor, or
The poena, not poeta.
oh, okay. Sorry, poena. So So that would be punishment of the sailors.
Mm-hmm.
Time is of sailors.
Erat, not est, but erat.
Erat is so to be imperfect third person singular. So the punishment of the sailors was caring. Well,
Yeah, was a cura.
a cura. So it was a cura, like a concern.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
noun. So it was a concern or the concern, but that doesn't sound good in English. Was a
Okay.
concern.
For the queen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's,
so if you're anxious about something, in
okay.
Latin, something is a cura to you.
Okay.
So, yeah, it is a source of cura, meaning concern, anxiety, care.
Okay.
With the dative to you, this is actually a dative, not a genitive. But you couldn't tell. Good.
So I'm sorry. What would a smooth translation of 20 be then? It's still like in chunks in my head.
The punishment of the sailors was a cause of anxiety for the queen.
Okay.
Or even, if we really want to go elegant, the queen was anxious about the punishment of the sailors. The
Okay.
sailors' punishment. Probably you don't want to go that far
Yeah.
yet, but give yourself a week. Yeah. Tori, take the next one.
Was that me?
I don't know. What order was I doing? Yes, I was. I think so.
Yeah, I think it's me. So I was a little confused on this one.
Okay, good. I mean, not that you're confused, but good that you can.
I think the queens have concern about the native land.
Yeah.
It just didn't sound right when it came out in English, but I guess that's just
Yeah, you are concerned in English. You
yeah.
have concern in Latin.
Okay. So then, yeah, I guess I got it. Then.
I mean, idioms, right?
So I had a question about this.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be translated about the country of the queen? Because queen could be genitive, couldn't it?
It could be.
And then the verb would take the subject.
Yes,
right?
They have anxiety about the queen's country. Yes, it could.
Yeah, because I wrote out both ways, and I thought it was interesting how different the meaning could be.
Given that I know regular Latin word order, I'm going to say that's less likely, because if that were the case, actually you'd put vaginae either after patria or actually more regularly between de and patria.
Okay.
Which sounds very weird to us in English, but we'll explain that later. And
then last
again,
night,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, that brings me to the question of word order.
Yeah.
I noticed that you had mentioned how our exercise yesterday online wasn't in the right word order, but grammatically and stuff it was correct. So should we be reviewing the word order?
I don't think you really have to do that actively, because I think you can all tell me what's basic Latin word order. Where does the subject go generally? Normally.
In the beginning.
At the beginning. Where does the verb go?
The end.
Yeah.
At the end. Where does the direct object go?
After.
Somewhere in the middle of that, right? That's the basic Latin word order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, for example, if you look at number 15, vias turba in plebis, right? The direct objects at the front. It's fine. A little bit more emphatic. Erisne, number 18. The verb is at the beginning instead of the end. So it's a little bit more emphatic. But already you've started to pick up, like, okay, Latin doesn't do subject, verb, direct object. It does subject, direct object, verb. Is something else wrong? No. Will you see something else in poetry all the time? And in prose, yes, very often for dramatic or rhetorical effect. But yeah, I think you'll start to pick up on what sounds normal, and then intuitively you'll know what's not normal. But for your Latin prose comp, I do not expect polish and high style, right? I mean, if you want to give me that, I'm going to be very happy, but I'm not going to complain. But really, it's about the grammar.
Okay.
Not making you Latin stylists. Yeah, Corey, will you take number 24?
Yeah. We are walking from the water.
Yeah, we are walking from the water, out of the water. Yep, something like that. Good.
Okay,
and
and can you do 26?
Yeah.
You told us not to, but
So, did anyone give it a shot?
I did not.
No, okay. So habebat means to have, but if you look in your vocab, it means to have, to hold, to possess, all literal meanings, and then to consider, which is the intellectual meaning. So habebat insula esse patria means he was considering the island to be his homeland. Or he was considering that the island was his homeland.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's good to keep in mind because there's no way to know that, but if you try to translate it as a literal, like having, then you're going to be very confused. Okay. Yeah, let's do then exercise number 3 on page 34, which again, I know you haven't prepared. This is sight reading. And sight reading is not just like, oh, I didn't want to assign you more, so we'll just do it. But it is actually a useful exercise to practice because, I mean, ideally, you will be able to just sit down with some Latin and read it. So sight reading is a very useful exercise. Okay. What I think is always good to do is read the Latin, so you have at least a very basic sense of the sentence. You might even be able to hear the subject and the verb. You should be able to hear the verb because you know what sort of endings verbs have, even if you don't understand the sentence, and that will help ground you. So, Nathan, you start off with the first sentence, read it in Latin, and then translate it. And you will see that two of the words in this sentence are glossed.
Poeta fabula narra de regina et nauta. Let's see. Okay. The poet tells the story
Right.
From
or about, yeah.
About the queen and the sailor.
Perfect. The poet tells a story about the queen and the sailor. Corey, we take the next sentence, read it in Latin, and then translate.
Regina cum turba in colerum e patria exit et ad Africam appropriin quat?
Appropriin quat, yeah.
Okay.
So you heard there are two verbs, exit and appropriin quat, right?
Mm-hmm. So got the queen with what is Torba again? A crowd? Okay. So the queen with the crowd um, of inhabitants
Mm-hmm.
of the fatherland or of the
Well,
country.
a patria, not patriae of the fatherland, but a patria.
Um, a out of the
Yes,
out of
good.
the country.
Out of the country, she exit.
She exits
Yes, she
and
goes out. Yep, from the country.
she goes out. And what is ad? Ad?
Odd means to or toward. That's also in the loss.
Oh, so she exits the country towards Africa
Well,
or
et
to
ad
Africa.
Africam. So et
Okay.
ad Africam apropinquat. So take the verb and then ad Africam.
The and approaches
Mhm.
and approaches Africa.
Yeah. So Latin says approaches to Africa. English says approaches Africa. But
Okay.
yeah. So the queen leaves her homeland with a crowd of citizens and approaches Africa. Okay. Rachel.
Okay. Ibi noam
Mhm.
patriam
Mhm.
id Identificabat,
Kabat. Yeah.
identificabat, sed non timebat.
Timebat.
So that would be the new homeland, fatherland.
Now, careful. What case is that in?
Patriam is singular.
Mhm.
In the accusative.
Yeah. Yeah. And although it comes first in Latin, in English, if you start with a noun, that means it's a subject. So you can't start with a direct object, even if you know it's a direct object in Latin, because it's going to end up as a subject of your English translation.
Okay. So the verb is afraid.
Well, first there's identificabat, and then there's non-timebat.
Okay. Build.
Yeah.
So that's imperfect was building third person. So
Mhm.
and not afraid.
Yeah. So she was building, said, but non timebat.
She was building but not afraid.
Yeah, but she was not being afraid. Okay, but what was she building? Well, ibi noam patriam identificabat.
So new homeland there.
Yeah, she was building a new homeland there.
Okay. She was building a new homeland there, but she was not afraid.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Subito nauta cum turba et incularum et feminarum e patria Troia ad Troia ad regine patriam apro pinquat.
Apropinquat. Yep.
Propinquat.
And subito. Yeah, that's the same actually in Italian. If you ever take Italian after taking Latin, they'll think you're brilliant. Because you know all these words. It's like subito. What does that mean? Oh, I know.
Oh, so,
All
right, well, this is a long one.
yes, it is. So, but
just-
it's long. Find the verb. Find the subject.
So the verb is apropinquat.
Mm-hmm.
So suddenly, and then the subject is the sailors.
Oh, well,
So
just how many sailors?
Say it again.
How many sailors, in fact?
One, just one. So suddenly, the the sailor with the crowd,
Mhm.
and with the crowd, both inhabitant and women.
Yes, yes, with a crowd of et incolarum et feminarum, so both inhabitants and
Both
women.
inhabitants and women from
Mhm.
the country of Troy,
From the country of Troy, ad reginae patriam,
and country Troy towards
yeah, towards, and it's a preposition that takes the accusative.
the queen of the country.
Well, look at that, reginae patriam, which is the
To-
accusative.
So towards the queens, plural.
Well, that would be reginas, that would be accusative plural, it's not reginas.
Towards this would be of the queen.
Yeah, so ad cannot take reginae as its object because ad needs an accusative, and reginae is absolutely not an accusative. So, you're gonna have to find another one for it to be the objective.
Toward
How about patriam?
so towards the queen's country.
Exactly, towards the country of the queen,
Towards the
towards the queen's country.
Okay. So
Um,
suddenly the sailors with the
Just one of him.
suddenly the sailor
Mhm.
approaches
Mhm.
approaches the crowd approaches with the
Mhm.
crowd of inhabitants and women
Mhm.
from the country of Troy with the queen's
Well,
country.
odd to the queen's country.
Or
Yeah.
to the queen's country.
Yes. Suddenly, a sailor approaches from the country of Troy to the queen's country with a crowd of both inhabitants and women.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Corey, you take the next two sentences.
Okay. So in Africa, for a long time, they are. So they. Wait, that's present tense? They are?
Yes.
Or.
They
so-
verb or they are verbing or they do verb.
Okay, so
In
they
Africa,
remained in
do
Africa
moment.
for a long time.
Yeah, they remain in Africa for a long time. It is present tense.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's just like,
Okay.
when you're learning to read, you have to talk about everything in the present tense. It feels a little silly, but you gotta do.
Okay.
So, and then regina nautam amat et nauta regina.
Yes. The queen
Mhm.
loved a sailor and
Loves,
vice
it's
versa.
present. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and vice versa. The queen loves the sailor, and the sailor
The sailor loves
regina
the queen.
loves the queen. The sailor, the queen, or the sailor
Okay.
loves the queen. Right. Rachel?
Fama
Mhm.
in regina non erat cura. So erat is not, so there's no concern.
Yes. Or fama was not a concern.
Okay, so fame was not a concern of the queen?
Of the queen, for the queen.
For the queen. Okay.
And then enim, did you translate that?
Is that the of the? Oh, so of course, fame was not a
Yeah.
concern of the queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
the queen.
The queen wasn't worried about rumor.
Okay.
If you want to be a little bit more colloquial. And actually, since that was a short sentence, why don't you take the last one?
Okay. Postremo nauta regina relinquit et regina vitam.
Yes.
So the verb would be relinquit.
Mhm.
And that is present tense, third person. So
Mhm.
he, um, so
Posteremo, finally.
finally,
Mhm.
the sailor and the queen,
Well,
or
nauta reginam relinquit.
okay, so that's the queen is the object.
Yep, of
So
the direct
this
object of relinquit. The
so
nauta reginam relinquit.
the sailor abandons the queen, uh, and
Regina vitam.
sorry, what did you just say?
I just read the last three words.
Oh, okay.
Regina vitam. Yeah.
Okay, no, Tom. So finally the sailor abandons the queen, and the queen Vitam, uh, and leaves the queen's life, like
Well,
exit.
so we don't have a verb, and if you don't have a verb, you just use the last verb that
Okay,
you had. So we can
so
reuse relinquit.
and abandons
Just
the
as
queen's life.
reginae, it's not reginae, it's regina. This is a
Okay,
little poetic. So what case is the regina?
Regina is nominative, singular,
Nominative. Yep. So she's going to have to be the subject of the repeated relinquit.
and
So
the
at long
queen.
last. Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the queen abandons her, so she kills herself.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a sad story.
So at long last, the sailor abandons the queen, and the queen abandons life. Does anyone know what the story is? I mean, this was like super short.
Is this like because I saw Troy, so is this oh no, is this Aeneas?
Yes, this is the second book of the Aeneid, only the most famous love story, besides Romeo and Juliet, and probably the most famous love story in history, given that this has been around for a couple millennia. So yeah.
I was gonna say the Iliad, but I'm like, oh, wait, that's Greek.
No. Yes, this is the Aeneid. So the Poeta is Virgil, the Nauta is Aeneas, the Regina is Dido. Yep. Yeah, and that's the Spark Notes version. Yeah. Not the version that made Augustine cry. Okay. So let's then start introducing you to Unit 2, and then we'll take a break and continue. How are you feeling, first of all, about first declension nouns and then your verbs? Are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
In theory, it's like I get it, pretty, but like when the sentences, it takes like a while to like
Yeah, and that's why I give you a lot of homework. It's because
yeah.
like first you got to make sure you understand, but then the only way to become familiar with something is to do it a lot. And
Right.
so we have 3 hours of class, but also, I mean, theoretically, you should be able to be immersed and just go around and have people speaking Latin to you all the time, but it's hard to get. So, homework is the second.
Yeah, I was struggling a bit last night, but then like all of a sudden it just like clicked, and then I was able to like do it like really quickly.
Yeah.
Just
Okay. Okay. Sharing screen and then going here. So, all right, can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Unit 2, I'm going to right now teach you the rest of the tenses of the indicative. So you will learn how to say, I did something, I will have done something, and I had done something. and that's all you can say in this, at least in the active indicative. So we're going to finish. And actually, so this is called the perfect active indicative system. I call it that because we're using a different stem. We're using the perfect stem as opposed to the present stem, which is what we used for the other three tenses: the present, imperfect, and future. So to form the perfect active indicative, you take the perfect stem and then you add perfect endings. Okay. And in fact, while we learned the present and imperfect and future of the first and second conjugation, what I'm going to teach you now is the perfect active indicative for every verb in Latin. All of the conjugations, and in fact, all of the irregular verbs, because irregular verbs aren't irregular in the perfect system in Latin. So once we've learned this, there's nothing more to learn. So the perfect endings. Here are the perfect endings. With some phantom macrons. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Somehow it's suddenly silent, more silent. But, now there's a lot of feedback. Nathan, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So here are the perfect endings, and I'm gonna have to go through this slide and correct it because there are phantom macrons over the first person plural and second person plural, so ignore those. The perfect endings are I isti it, imus istis erunt. Okay, so you can see there's some similarity in the first and second person plural. We have mus and tis again. We have a T in the third person plural, a third person singular, and an NT in a third person plural, but they're rather different, right? I isti it, imus istis, and then not int or something like that, but erunt. Okay, so that's a little of a dark horse there ending. So the formation of the perfect tense is perfect stem plus I isti it, imus istis erunt. That slide. So then, now that we know the endings, how do you find the perfect stem? So instead of going to the second principal part, you go to the third principal part and remove the I. Okay, so for example, corono, coronare, coronavi, coronatus. Third principal part is coronavi minus the I, leaves us with coronao, and that's the perfect stem. So, Rachel, sentio, sentire, sensi, sensus. What is the perfect stem of this verb?
Sent.
Sense. Perfect. So third principal part, drop the I. And that's how you find the perfect stem for every verb in Latin. So sensi, sensisti, sensit, sensimus, sensis, sensistis, and senserunt are the forms. And this verb means to feel. So sentio, just like senses, right? You can see that. To feel. So this is the perfect tense, which means it's not incomplete action in the past, which is the imperfect, but complete action in the past. Corey, could you try to translate sensi?
Yeah, and it's feeling, right? Sorry, I was taking notes.
No, don't be sorry. Sentio is I feel,
Okay.
sentire is to feel, so sensi is
I felt.
I felt. Good. And then why don't you just go through it all?
And you felt. He, she, it felt. And then we felt, y'all felt, they felt.
Great. Okay. Questions about that? Nope. Okay. So that is the perfect. You take the perfect stem and then you add these endings. And you haven't seen these endings before, so you do need to memorize them. That's something concrete that you need to memorize. E is diet and this is to spirit. The third principal part, now you know, is actually the first person singular perfect active indicative. So sentio, I feel, sentire, to feel is the infinitive, and then sensi, I felt. That's what that third principal part of all your verbs is. So again, moving on, so then the pluperfect indicative, the perfect is completed action, simple action in the past, I suppose, I felt. And then pluperfect is action that is completed from the perspective of the past. So I had done something. And to form the pluperfect indicative, you take the same stem, perfect stem, and you add the pluperfect endings. Which are this? Which are these? Nathan, do those look familiar?
Yeah, it's the future.
Not quite.
It's the perfect. It's the second conjugation. Oh wait, it's
Yeah.
like to be.
It's the verb to be. Yes.
To be, yeah, to be. That's
what tense of the verb to be is it?
Past.
Yeah, the imperfect. We don't want to say past because there are
the imperfect
several past tenses. Yes, it's the imperfect.
Past. Yeah.
We're using the imperfect forms of the verb to be as endings, right? It's identical. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, eran.
It's exactly the same.
Absolutely the same, except it's just tacked on as an ending. So, do you need to learn anything? I mean, yes, you need to remember that to use the imperfect, but you don't have to memorize anything, right? Because you've already learned how to form the perfect stem, and you actually know these endings. So, senseram, senseras, senserat, senseramus, senseratis, senserat. Rachel, would you translate those?
Okay, so pluperfect is a past tense, and then I remember being a little confused onto how that one was different than the imperfect,
So
like translation-wise.
It happened before some other time in the past.
Okay. So
before you warned me, I already
felt that, like before.
Yeah,
something.
You could just say in English, I felt, but a little bit more correctly would be I had felt.
Okay, so I had felt.
Mm-hmm.
He, she, it had felt.
Well, you had felt.
You
first.
had felt.
Yeah.
He, she, it had felt, and then we had felt. You all had felt, and they had felt.
Good. Good. Questions about that? So again, any verb, I could just give you any verb in Latin. 97.3% of all verbs in Latin, I could give you the 4 principal parts, and you could now form the perfect and pluperfect. You might not know what it meant because you don't know all the verbs in Latin, but you could do it. And then the future perfect, again, we use perfect stem, and we use future perfect endings. Again, there's a typo there, so it should not say pluperfect endings. Sorry. And look at those. Rachel, do those look familiar?
Yes, that would be to be in the future tense, right?
The future tense of the verb to be, except there's one bold.
Yeah, the bottom right would,
Yeah.
if it were the future tense, would be erunt.
Erunt, good. So
yeah,
the verb to be erunt, but as an ending, it becomes erunt. But other than that, besides erunt, it's the same. Why is it helpful that it is not actually erunt? Can anyone remember?
So you don't have to, because it matches with the I compared to the U, so you have to like think of
It does match. Yep. Let me go back a few slides. You see now why it is helpful that it is not erund?
Oh, it's just the same. It'd be the same.
Because it would be, yeah, just the same except for that macron.
Yeah.
Erund, right?
Yeah, so you all, yeah, it'd get confusing just taking the macron out or not.
Right. Because actually in Latin, although people spoke with macrons, they didn't write macrons. Nobody who is actually a native Latin speaker has ever even written with macrons. They were there, but like punctuation, they weren't ever written by native speakers. So this is perhaps one of the reasons why. So the future perfect is completed action in the future. Nathan, could you give a stab at translating those?
So, he will have felt.
Yes. Well, first, I will have
Oh, yeah,
felt.
yeah, sorry. After I will have felt, you will have felt, he, she, it will have felt, we will have felt,
Mhm.
you all would have felt, and they will have felt.
Good. Okay. Why did I have that twist? Nope, I don't know. Fascinating. Okay. So, questions about that? Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
So you now know all of the tenses of Latin, right? Present, future, imperfect, perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. 3 days in. Amazing. So, no, it really is actually amazing. So, I told you, and maybe you believe me, maybe you didn't, that this is how you form the perfect system of all verbs. So you will actually now be able to form the perfect of this irregular verb without learning anything new, because it's regular. You go to the third principal part, which is fui. You drop the I, and that leaves you with the stem fu, and then you just add your regular endings to that stem. Corey, could you translate these? Fui, fuesti, fuimus, fuistis, fuerum.
Yes. Regular perfect indicative.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, I had.
Well, sum esse means to be. Sum
Right.
I am, esse to be. So today I am happy, but yesterday, fui,
Oh, so I was.
angry. I was, yeah.
Okay. So I was, you were, he, she, it was,
Mhm.
we were, y'all were, they were.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So, Rachel, what is the pluperfect going to be? Can you guess? Remember what the first person singular?
Yes. So the pluperfect
Mhm.
would be fuerum or
Fueram. Perfect.
fuerum.
Fueram. Yep. So perfect stem, fu, and then those endings. Fueram, fueras, fuerat, fueramus, fueratis, fueram. Can you translate these?
Okay. So the pluperfect I had been.
Yes, I had been
Okay.
hungry until I ate a sandwich.
Okay. Then you had been. He, she, it had been. We had been. You all had been. And then they had been.
Perfect. So Nathan, can you guess the future perfect? Not guess. Do you remember what the future perfect is? There's no guessing.
I will be.
That would just be the future. I will be.
I will have been. Or
Perfect.
yeah,
I will
I
have
will
been.
be.
Right? Okay, so this is one of these many tenses that we have in English that we can form, but you probably don't ever do it. Which is why it sounds so strange. I will have been, right?
Yeah.
I will have been a resident of, Maryland for 6 years come August. You understand what it means, maybe you don't say that all that often. And can you form the Latin?
Furio.
Fuero. Yeah, so drop the I.
Fuero. Yeah, Fuero.
Fuero.
Do you want me to go through all of them?
Yeah, why don't you?
In English? Or?
Oh, why don't you read them in Latin, actually, just for fun.
Fuero. Fueris.
Mhm.
Fuerit. Fuerimos. Fuerimus. Fuertis.
Mhm.
And fuerit.
Fluent. Yep, and remember, again with accentuation, since none of these penults are long, it's fuero, fueris, fuerit, fuerimus, fueritis, fuerint.
Okay.
It's not really, I'm not going to worry too much about it, but it's just nice to hear how Latin sounds.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How does that feel?
That's good. Once I study a little bit more, it'll be
Yeah.
it'll click
A little bit better,
Yeah.
as always.
as always.
Now, it might feel a little like, I don't know, weirdly cannibalistic or something. I feel like these forms do feel a bit weird because they're actually, right, future tense, for example, of the same verb attached to a different stem of this verb. It feels a little weird, but that's the way it is. And it's actually easier because then you don't have anything new to memorize, right? Okay, let's pause there. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Then, yeah, let's do like maybe 5-10 minutes of a drill. Here's this verb that I will put into the group chat. It's a second conjugation, right? You can see by looking at the second principal part. But of course, it doesn't matter when we're forming the perfect what conjugation a verb is, because we do the exact same thing with all verbs. And let's just practice forming doing some forms. Takeo, have you learned this? Maybe it's in Unit 2. Probably it's in Unit 2, which is why I chose it. Yes, it's to be silent. Okay. For example, tacit agreement, right, means unspoken, and therefore silent agreement. Okay, so let's form first in English and then in Latin. Corey, what would be the first person plural imperfect of the verb to be quiet?
First person plural imperfect. Oh, okay. So that would be toss.
Just in English first.
Oh, okay. So I was silent.
Plural.
Or we were silent.
We were being silent, or we were silent.
Being silent.
But we were being silent just to distinguish it from the perfect. We were silent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we were being silent. Can you form that in Latin?
Yeah. So Tak, Takabamos? Takabamos?
Takebamos, yeah, because there's some kind over that ba. Yeah, takebamos. Whoops, that is oh, moose, not moss. Takebamos. Good. Rachel, how about the second person singular future perfect? In English first, and then
So future perfect. Second person singular perfect. So it would be. You said future perfect.
future perfect. Yep. Second singular.
Second singular. You
Mhm.
will. I guess you will be silent.
That's just the future. You will be silent.
You had been silent.
You have been is actually the perfect. Right, that's completed action. The present, we want completed action in the future.
You will have been.
You will have been silent.
Okay.
This is a tense that we really rarely use.
Okay.
But we got, and it's a bit awkward in English, but it's only 6 in Latin, so you got it. Yeah, familiar with it. You will have been silent. Good. So can you form that in Latin? And of course,
okay.
you can think through this. It would be helpful to see if you can get it before you can.
So taku eres.
Whereas, oops, again. Yes. Whereas. Great. We will have been silent. Nathan, how about the third person singular? Perfect.
Third person singular perfect.
Mhm.
He, she, it is silent.
Perfect. Not present.
He, she, it will be silent.
That's in the future. I want you to tell me yesterday.
Oh, he, she, it was silent.
He, she, it was silent.
Yeah.
Yes, he was silent. Okay,
Yeah.
yesterday
It was silent.
he was pretty silent in class, right?
And that
Latin
would be taku ere, taku eret.
That's he will have been silent. That's a future perfect. We just want the perfect. Which is the endings est et imus istis erunt.
Wait, I thought perfect ends with E-R-I-T.
No, that's the future perfect.
So taku, takuet?
Takuit. He was quiet.
Takuet.
Exactly. Corey, how about the third person singular present?
Third person singular present. That would be a talkint. Singular.
Yeah.
Talkit.
Talkit. Good. And what does it mean?
Oh, he is silent.
He is silent. So takuit, he was silent. Takit, he is silent. Can
I ask it?
Rachel?
How did you just get that last one? Taket.
Yeah.
It was first person.
Third person.
Singular present.
Present.
So it wasn't in. So it wasn't any of the perfect.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at the ones we just learned, and I was like, "Wait, where'd that come from?" But
okay. No. That came from day one when we learned yes.
Got
it. Do the second conjugation present. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm throwing a lot at you. You guys are doing really well. Rachel, will you do the second person plural pluperfect? Do it in English first and then in Latin.
Okay. Second person plural pluperfect. Takeratis, which is Latin, but
do
the
it.
English.
English, yes.
Perfect. So you all
Mhm.
were, I want to say we're being silent, but I know that that's
It's
imperfect.
Yeah.
Will
It's in the past.
were
The verb that you, the helping verb is have, but you have to use the past tense of have.
had been silent?
Had been silent.
Had
Yeah.
been silent. So you all had been silent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then, what did you say that was in Latin?
Takeratis?
So taku
So-
is the stem. So taku,
Taku.
and then eritis, taku eritis would be the future perfect. You will have been
Okay.
silent. Then the
Taku
perfect. Taku eratis. You all had been silent.
Okay. Taku eratis. Yeah, I mixed up the stem on that one.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's normal. Nathan, can you do the present infinitive? Which is the infinitive that you know.
So the present. Oh,
Say
so tacere,
Takere, and what does that mean?
to be silent.
To be silent. Great. Corey, could you do first person singular pluperfect?
Yeah. So that would be I had been silent,
I had been silent. Great.
right? And then so that'd be talk erdem. That be it? Talk rm.
Erim?
Yeah.
Erim
ERAM.
yeah, eram. Yes. Erim, I was hearing an I.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
What's wrong
Eram.
with takeram?
Okay.
Anyone? It's not right.
What did you ask him to find again?
To find the first person singular pluperfect.
Stem?
Yes, right. The ending is right. The stem is wrong. We took a present stem and added the perfect.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We want takueram.
Mm-hmm. And then so for
Takeram.
so I still take the third principal part stem, or
Yes. So you take to find the perfect stem, which is the one you need for the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. You go to the third principal part and drop the I, and that gives you the perfect
so it's taku eram.
stem. Takueram.
Okay, I see.
Rachel, will you do third person plural future?
Future.
Not future perfect.
Not future
Say
perfect.
one. No, just
Okay.
future.
So
In English first, and then.
they will be silent.
Mm-hmm.
And then Takebund.
But, Nathan, can you do the first person singular future perfect?
First person singular. So
Like, in English first.
I will be. Or, I'm
No.
sorry. I mean, I will be silent.
I will be silent is future. I want future perfect.
Oh.
I will. Have.
I will have silence.
No, that
I
doesn't.
will have
Right
been
there.
silent. I will have been silent.
Exactly. I will have been
I
silent.
will have been
I
silent.
really think, I mean, as I told you on the first day, as Corey asked, what's the trickiest part? English is the trickiest part, right? The future perfect. How do we do that in English? I think you understand the concept. It's just trying to get all those helping verbs. in a line. I will have been silent. Okay, good. So then, what would that be?
So I will have this. Taku.
Yeah, taku.
Taku. Erem?
Erro.
Erro.
Erro. Taku erro. You would think erem ereseret, erem seret serent, but it's erro ereseret.
Yeah, because that's Taku Erro.
Taku erro. And then Corey, second plural present.
Second plural present.
Mhm.
So y'all are silent.
Y'all are silent, and in Latin,
Oh, and then in Latin it'd be tocatis.
tacetus, because
Ta-
it's the second one. Not tacatus,
Oh.
that's the first conjugation, but tacetus.
Oh,
second
right. Yeah,
conjugation.
tocatis. Okay.
Good. Okay. I know that I was asking a lot of you, but I feel like you already are a little bit more comfortable with all that. Maybe you're just really good at confusing. But I mean, does that seem like? Oh yeah, actually, this is possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So let's take a 10-minute break and be back at 13 after.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So how are you feeling about that? Having had like to process, you still on board?
Yeah.
Ready to keep going?
Yeah.
We keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are troopers. So the indicative is the mood that we've been talking about so far. There are three moods in Latin. There's the indicative, the subjunctive, and then the imperative. And the indicative and imperative you're going to be very comfortable with. The indicative is the mood of fact. So I am happy. She took a plane to San Francisco. Are you happy? Right? All of these are either stating facts or asking facts. Are you happy? Or denying facts. She is not going to visit me this summer. Right? It's about facts. The imperative is the mood of command, and we're not going to learn this unit, but shut up, talk to me, come here, bring that, right? Orders. It's not stating a fact, it's commanding some reality. The subjunctive is basically the mood of non-reality or reduced reality.
Subjectivity, maybe?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily about perception. It's not subjectivity in that sense. It's often about things that aren't real or things that you want to be real but aren't yet. Things that could become real, but for whatever reason are somewhat not so. Now, we do have a subjunctive in English. We never use it. I mean, few people do. I mean, very educated people do, really. And we actually are supposed to use it in our conditions. So, if perhaps, I don't know what sounds good to you. I don't know what you read and whether they use subjunctives. But if I was at the party yesterday, I would have sung "Happy Birthday." Does that sound right to you or not?
That
Yeah.
sounds right.
Okay, it's actually wrong because I'm using the indicative. I should say, if I were at the party yesterday, I would have sung "Happy Birthday," whatever the example was. So we do have the subjunctive, but we don't know we have it, and if we ever use it, it's purely instinct. So this is something that is going to be a little difficult. Now, lots of other modern languages do use their subjunctive, much more than we do. I know French does. I know German does. I highly suspect Spanish does, but again, last time I studied it, I was in high school, so I don't really remember. Pretty sure Italian does. But English, we don't really use it a lot, so it's going to be a bit tricky. And because we don't use it, it's hard. Well, we don't use it often, and the usages of our usages of the subjunctive in English are different than Latin usages of the subjunctive. So there's no definite way to translate it, because sometimes Latin uses a subjunctive where English should use an indicative, or vice versa. And so we have to understand that it's subjunctive, but then translate it into whatever is correct in our own language. Okay, that's just general introduction to the subjunctive. After I teach you how to form it, we'll talk about two usages of how to actually use it in Latin. But for now, the way we're going to translate a subjunctive is using may or might. So let me start sharing this, and we will get a little bit more concrete and less theoretical. So, the subjunctive. So the subjunctive like the indicative is a verbal mood. There are 4 tenses of the subjunctive. So tense and mood are sort of, are totally separate. Just like you can have any person in any of the tenses, so you can have different tenses in the subjunctive mood. But there are no future or future perfect subjunctives. There are only 4 tenses of the subjunctive: the present, the imperfect, the perfect, and the pluperfect. And in fact, all imperfect, perfect, and pluperfect subjunctives are formed the same way. So although the heading said first conjugation subjunctive, actually the only thing where we're going to be learning something that's particular to the first conjugation is the present. Everything else is the same for all conjugations, and in fact also irregular verbs. So the basic translation that I would like you to use for the present subjunctive is the helping verb may. So not I am running, but I may run. And then for the imperfect, not I was running, but I might run. And then perfect, not I have run, but I may have run. And then pluperfect, not I had run, but I might have run. So present may, imperfect might, perfect may have, pluperfect might have. Those aren't foolproof, but they'll at least get us 76% of the way there. That was very technical. Percentage. Okay. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So then, how do we form the present active subjunctive? We take the present stem, and then we use the vowel E, and then we use our active subjunctive endings, which are mustistent. Okay, let's think about that. Do those look familiar?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the
Yes. They're, in fact,
Present tense.
identical to the present active indicative, except what?
The M
yeah.
for
The M.
singular.
Yep,
Yeah.
except the M.
There's no
So the
O.
endings, yes, not O, but M for the first person singular. So the endings are the same as the present active indicative, except for the first person singular. And then we're also using a present stem, which is the same as the present active indicative. So how are we going to be able to tell the present active indicative apart from the present active subjunctive?
A vowel.
Yes, a vowel, right? In the present indicative, we use A. In the present subjunctive, we use E. So, the indicative would be corono, coronas, coronat, coronamus, coronatis, coronant. The subjunctive is coronem, corones, coronet, coronemus, coronetis, conorent, coronant. Okay, so Nathan, would you give a stab of translating these according to the way I just told you how to translate?
Yeah. I may crown.
Mhm.
You may crown. He,
Mhm.
she, it may crown.
Mhm.
We may crown. You all may crown.
Yes,
And they will crown.
they may.
Or they may, sorry, they may.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Is the theory clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you notice about macrons?
Same pattern.
Same pattern. Second singular, first and second plural. Can you think about why you might run into a confusion if you see, for example, coronemus?
It's
What?
the same, right?
The same as what?
Um, like the the it's the same as the present.
So, yes
Yeah,
and
it's the
no.
same as the present.
So someone might think it's the second conjugation when in fact it's
Exactly.
the first
Yes.
conjugation.
Exactly. The ending is the same as the present indicative for the second conjugation.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's not the same as, in fact, if we want to say we crown, it's coronamus. But coronemus, if you say didn't know anything, and you looked at that, you might guess, this is probably a second conjugation verb, present indicative. One of the many, 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 many reasons why you need to learn the four principal parts. Because what you need to be able to do is say, coronemus. What is the verb? Coronare. Oh, right. This is first conjugation. So, it's not a present indicative, it's a present subjunctive. But if you don't know the principal parts, you can't know, right? That is the case, that this is a first conjugation, present subjunctive, and not a second conjugation, present indicative.
So I'm confused. So how would you know that in a sentence?
Because you've memorized the principal parts. And so you know, when you see this verb, coronemus, you say, okay, the stem is coron. What verb do I know that has a stem in coron? Oh, right, it's corono, coronare, coronavi, coronatus. Coronare, first conjugation, therefore, okay, that's how I start interpreting these sentences. Which is to say, you don't know unless you've done a lot of brute force memorization of principal parts. I mean, and that sounds like horrible and like you're going to be saying principal parts for the rest of your life. You do get to a point where you actually just know instinctively what conjugation is because you've been, learning these for so long. You don't have to ask yourself, but you could ask yourself and you could double check and you would be sure if you did know those principal parts. But if you didn't know the verb, you wouldn't know. If you didn't know the verb, then you have to go to the dictionary and look up the principal parts and find out what conjugation it was. And I don't say these things, this might confuse you in order to confuse you, but because I'm trying to point out problems so that you can be aware of them in your learning, not to try to stress you out, but so you don't accidentally fall into a trap that is late for you. Okay, questions about that? I think the theory is easy. It might be a little overwhelming that you do need to know all these principal parts so intensely, but
Alex. Sorry.
it's okay. Okay, so now the imperfect active subjunctive. This is, in fact, I think the easiest tense to form because you take the present infinitive and then you add the active subjunctive endings, right? Which are most distinct. So for this verb, go to the second principal part. Don't drop anything. Just take it full hog. The infinitive, coronare, and then add most distinct. Rachel, would you read these to us?
Coronarem,
Mhm.
coronares,
Mhm.
coronaret,
Mhm.
coronaremus,
Mhm.
coronaretis,
Mhm.
coronarent.
Coronarent. Yeah, good.
Okay.
And again, Corey, do you notice anything about the macrons?
Same pattern.
Same pattern. Second singular, first and second plural. Yep. So really, they're not trying to trick you. It's pretty consistent. And this is how you form the imperfect subjunctive of every single verb in Latin. you take the second principal part, present infinitive, and you just add inst, most, isn't. Okay, very straightforward. Adding e make rounds over those e's as appropriate. So, Nathan, could you translate these as I told you? As I
Yeah.
told you? Yeah.
I might crown.
Mhm.
You might crown. He, she, it might crown.
Mm-hmm.
We might crown. You all might crown, and they might crown.
Good. Okay. Blowing through this, but we can talk through it once we've got them all. So for the perfect active subjunctive, just like the perfect active indicative, you use the perfect stem, and then you add an infix, so an ending, but that's going to have another ending after it, erie, and then the active subjunctive endings, which are, Corey, what are they?
The active subjunctive endings.
Yeah, the same endings we've been using.
Oh, yeah. So MST, mustis, nunt.
Good. Most not. So koronawa, perfect stem, plus ere, plus most distant.
What is the ere called? Like that?
I called it an infix.
Okay.
So not a prefix at the beginning and not a suffix at the end, but an infix.
Okay, so it's the same. That doesn't depend on the verb. Like it's not a part of a principal part. It's just part of
Nope.
the. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could think of it as a separate ending, or you can
Okay.
think perfect stem plus ere, and then the same endings I've been using.
Okay.
Good. This is the perfect subjunctive. I have to go through this and correct my typos. Does anyone have any comments about this one? I'm asking a lot of you, but I'm going to tell you, this is identical to another tense except for one thing. Anyone remember what tense this is identical to?
One of the.
Yes. One of the ones we learned half an hour ago.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Haha.
The it would be future perfect
Yes, the future
Indicative.
perfect indicative.
except for the first person singular.
Except for the first person singular, right? Koronawero reseret is the future perfect indicative. The perfect subjunctive in all forms except the first person singular is identical. Again, I don't say that to frighten you or distress you, just to alert you. And it really isn't so problematic, because if you're in a context that needs a subjunctive, you know it's not going to be future perfect indicative. And if you're not in a context that needs a subjunctive, you're going to go with a future perfect indicative. But on its own, floating sine context, koronawaris could be a perfect subjunctive or a future perfect indicative. And then the last, the pluperfect subjunctive. You take the perfect stem and you add the infix ise instead of eri, and then the active subjunctive endings, which are the same as before. So coronavisem, coronavises, coronaviset, coronavisemus, coronavisetis, coronavisent. Corey, could you translate these forms?
I might have crowned. You might have crowned. It might have crowned. We might have crowned. Y'all might have crowned. They might have crowned.
Great. Okay. Questions about that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So let's do a review. Maybe you want to even write this down. I don't know. Just so you can start sorting these all in your head. Going back to the indicative, our friendly friend of half an hour ago, 2 days ago. Which tenses of the indicative use the present stem? Rachel?
Of the indicative, use the present stem. That would be the first three that we learned. So present, imperfect, and future.
Present, imperfect, and future. Nathan, which tenses of the subjunctive use the present stem?
Let's see. Present.
And in fact,
That's it.
kind of all.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So
So present.
present indicative uses present stem. Present subjunctive uses present stem. Present indicative, future indicative uses present stem, and there's no such thing as a future subjunctive, so no correspondence there. And then the imperfect uses the imperfect indicative uses the present stem, whereas the imperfect subjunctive uses. Corey, what does it do?
The imperfect subjunctive?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
It's what stem does the imperfect subjunctive use?
The imperfect. The present infinitive.
Yes, it uses the present infinitive. So you could actually say it uses the present stem plus an infix of are if you want, or you can just say
Oh, okay.
the imperfect subjunctive uses the infinitive as its stem. Anyway, all of the tenses that use the present, that use the second principal part in the indicative, do so in the subjunctive. And then, Nathan, what tenses of the indicative use the perfect stem?
What's the perfect step?
Those are the ones we learned before the break.
I'm trying to remember.
I know.
It's the is it the pluperfect and future perfect?
Yes, the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect.
Oh, so all three of those. Okay. Oh
All
yeah,
three
yeah,
of those use the
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. These perfect.
And then, Corey, what tenses of the subjunctive use the perfect stem?
Let's see. The pluperfect and the perfect. And
Yes, the perfect and the
that's it.
pluperfect. That's it, because there's no future perfect subjunctive, so you can't have it. Good. Okay. How does that feel?
So wait, can you say five? You say five against the imperfect, perfect, and pluperfect, right?
No, just perfect and pluperfect.
Oh, just perfect and pluperfect. Okay.
Yes, because the imperfect uses the infinitive as its stem.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Got it. Alright, cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, Rachel, what do you think? Is that good? I mean, it was a whirlwind.
Yeah, the stems, I guess, sorting those correctly is. So if we're talking about just the five for indicative, the
Six.
first three we learned all use the present stem, which is the second principal part. Drop the extra.
Yes, A-R-E. Well, vowel R-E.
Vowel
R-E,
R-E.
whatever that is.
And then the last two we learned, three we learned, used the perfect stem, which is the third principal part, drop the I.
Exactly.
And then when we go into the subjunctive, we have, so present, imperfect, perfect, and pluperfect. The present uses, or was it the present that used the infinitive? No, the imperfect used the infinitive.
Yeah.
Then the present just use the present stem,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last two I use the perfect stem.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you've got it. And really, you could think, I mean, it's a little bit more logical, but a little less easy if you think the present and imperfect subjunctive use the present stem. The present just adds a vowel, and the imperfect adds a vowel RE, which happens to be the infinitive ending.
Okay.
But you could think of it that way, and that will tell you, okay, there are two camps: present, imperfect, and future. In all moods are going to use a present stem, something coming from the second principal part, and perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect, regardless of whether it's indicative or subjunctive, uses the perfect stem, which is the third principal part,
Okay.
coming from the third principal.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, good. That I think that was good for you to articulate that. Corey, what do you think? Yeah.
I'm like filled up to the brim here.
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
quick-
Very honest.
that made sense. Quick question, just for
Yes,
my own
I'm
notes. I think I missed this part. The imperfect active.
Indicative or
Subjunctive. Sorry. What is the stem in that one?
So
Is that
it
that's
works
the
out to being the
infinitive, right? Okay. Okay. So it's a present
infinitive, which is the same as the second principal part.
with an infix. You would call it like. Okay.
Yeah, it's a present stem with
Okay,
an
that's
infix or just the infinitive. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna teach you a tiny bit more, but mostly it will not be more. It will just be review because we're going to do the verb to be.
Okay.
And in the present tense, it is irregular, but in everything else, it's not. So, if you can't try to memorize these forms right this second, I absolutely understand. You are sort of filled up to the brim, but at least try to conceptually see if you can follow. Okay. So the subjunctive of the irregular verb to be. So, right, the present indicative, sum est, sumus esti, sunt. The present subjunctive is also irregular. And it's sim, sis, sit, simus, sitis, sint. So, this is one of these things where you can't, like, logically figure out what it's going to be because it's a regular verb, so there's no, not that there's no logic, but there's no pattern that you can follow. But having said that it's irregular, again, you can see it's actually not so irregular. You just need to know that it's si and then add mostis in, which are the same endings that you use for any present subjunctive. You just have to memorize that fact that it's sim and not something else. We don't know what it would be, but it's not that. Okay, so I told you the imperfect subjunctive will be regular. So how do you form the imperfect subjunctive, Nathan?
Sorry, say it again.
How do you form the imperfect subjunctive of any verb in Latin?
Imperfect subjunctive. You take the second.
Yeah. Take the
yeah,
infinitive.
Yeah, the
Second principal
infinitive.
part.
Second principal part, and then add whatever the middle part is. I forgot what that's called, and then you add the ending.
So there actually is no middle part to add. You just take the infinitive and then the endings.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Corey, could you guess the imperfect subjunctive of this verb? Having the four principal parts up there.
Yeah, that'd be SM, SS, SET. All right.
Yes, great. Huh. It is regular, right? Infinitive plus mostis. Okay, so then the regular perfect subjunctive Rachel, do
Okay.
you remember how to do this?
So,
Yeah.
so, perfect subjunctive takes not the infinitive, but the perfect. So, foo.
Foo.
Do you want me to translate it or?
Nope, just see if you can form it. Foo plus.
So, the which middle one was that?
Yeah. It's the one that's
Um,
mostly identical to the future perfect condition.
Okay, we're in subjunctive. We're in regular. And it's perfect. Fuerin.
Perfect. Fuerem, fueres, fueret, fuerimus, fueritus, fuerent. Great. Nathan, foo perfect subjunctive?
That would be fui again.
Foo, yep, that's our stem.
Yeah,
Foo.
Yeah, foo. So foo would be a stem. It'd be fuisim.
Fuisem, fuises,
fuisem.
fuiset, fuisimus, fuisetis, fuisent. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right, now translating these forms, I might have been all the helping verbs, but we won't worry about that too much for now. Any questions about the formation of this? I mean, and I know you don't know these yet. I'm impressed how well you do know them already. You're gonna have to sit down this afternoon after you take lunch and maybe a nap and just like do a lot of, beating these into your head. I do realize that. But theoretically, at least, is it clear what should be going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, theoretically. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty,
It's
Yeah,
put together.
no, it is extremely.
I was going to say it's put together well in the Prezi, so I know, like, going back and studying, like, it'll definitely be clear.
Okay, well, good. And if there is ever anything that isn't clear, don't be shy. You cannot hurt my feelings by telling me that you don't understand something. So, please. Okay, so now we're going to talk about conditions. So we're taking a break from morphology, which is the forming of words, syntax, which is how we use words in a sentence. Okay. So I know you're full up to your brain, but hopefully there's a little still decent syntax. The morphology is a little bit overflowing. So this is just a little bit of English, right? So this is true for, I guess, all conditions in any language, though I'd have certainly not studied every language, but it's at least true in all the ones I've studied. There are two basic elements of a condition. There's a protasis and the apodosis, right? We can also call the protasis the if part and the apodosis the then part, right? If something, then something else, right? So the condition is that if the protasis is true, then the apodosis will become true. If you look, you will see a bald eagle. So the condition is you've got to look, but if you do, you will see a bald eagle. You can also do the apodosis and the protasis. You can do the apodosis before the protasis, right? Although the condition is still in the if part. If you look, you will see a bald eagle, but we can say you will see a bald eagle if you look. So the order doesn't really matter. The condition is in the if part. Do you understand what conditions are? Do you have any questions about that? And please don't be shy. Okay.
That's pretty easy.
Okay. So in Latin, there are 6 types of conditions. I think there are probably 6 in English. There are 9 in Greek, but only 6 in Latin. We'll take that and run. And in Latin, the protasis and apodosis generally use the same tense, and mood, either indicative or subjunctive. So, what types of conditions are there? There are 3 types of conditions in Latin that use the indicative. And they're the past general, the present general, and the future more vivid condition. And these are all conditions that are either factual or quite plausible. So, the past general condition expresses a general condition in the past and uses the past tense of the indicative, right? So, if he mowed the lawn, he wanted ice cream. Probably he did mow the lawn at some point. We're not, it's a condition. It could be real. It probably was. If he mowed the lawn ever last year, he wanted ice cream. Right? That was the condition upon him wanting ice cream. Or if he had a torch, we were not afraid. So when we went to the caves, 10 times, if he had a torch, we weren't afraid. But if he didn't, we were. So that's how it happened. Now, we don't use that sort of condition a whole lot in English, but we can use it. It's good to know that it exists. So in Latin, we also use the indicative as we're using it in English. So, si taidam, if a torch, habebat, if he was having a torch, what do we say the hypothesis is going to be? We were not afraid, excuse me. Non. Can anyone come up with we were not afraid? Yeah. Time. But. Bombers. We were not afraid. Non time bombers. Right? If he was having a torch, we were not being afraid. Very ugly. Okay. Questions about that? So then there's also the present general condition, which expresses a general condition in the present and uses the present indicative. Right? If she can hear me, she's ignoring me right now. Right? So that's a general condition, and it could be true, right? If she's hearing me, which I don't know if she is or is not, but if she is, she's ignoring me. If he has a torch, we are not afraid. So we'll do this in Latin. Si taidam not habebamus, if he was having a torch, but present, if he has a torch. Anyone? Si taidam. Yeah, I know. Everything. It's all
habet.
swimming. Habet. Good. Habet.
Oh, habet. Okay.
Habet. Non, and then we want to say the present indicative. We are not afraid. Non. Anyone?
Teammate?
Teammates. Yeah.
Oh, teammate.
We are not afraid. They are not afraid. But yeah, same. Correct tense, just one person. Good. So, again, does this seem a little bit awkward to you? I mean, do you feel like you use this sort of condition a lot? I feel like we don't a lot.
I'm an avid reader, so
yeah.
yeah,
Or if
I don't use it, but I see it in books all the time.
Yeah. If you I feel like a spy movie. Like, if this wire's tapped, then right?
Yeah.
You don't probably come out with present general conditions on a daily basis, but it does happen in English.
All I can think is like Law and Order. Like, if the DNA matches, then he did it.
Yes, exactly. So, and then the future more vivid. I think we use future conditions more regularly than the other two in English. It's just my sense, because I have less trouble coming up with these conditions in English. That sounds good. expresses a certain or likely condition in the future time. It can't express a factual condition because we can only have facts about the present and past, being humans and bounded by time. The future is uncertain to us. So we can't say for sure anything will happen in the future unless you're a prophet, but that's not grammatically relevant. For normal humans, the future cannot be general, it can only be more vivid. So in Latin, it uses the future perfect indicative. So in Latin, we will say, if they will see me, they will come over. In English, we say, if they see me, they will come over. If he has a torch, we will not be afraid. But we really mean, if he will have a torch, we will not be afraid. We're talking about a condition in the future. If they will see me, they will come over. English just doesn't like to use that future in the protasis, although it will use it in the potasis. So if he has a torch, but we have to translate it as a future because Latin is a bit more logical than English in this instance, right? We're talking about the future, so you gotta use a future. Citidum, anyone?
Habet.
Hab. We have to use a future. Hab.
Hab.
Habebit. Habebit. Citidum habebat. Habebit. We will not be afraid. Non.
Timebimus.
Timebimus. Non timebimus. Good. If he will have a torch, we will not be afraid. But English would say, if he has a torch, we will not be afraid. Okay. Questions about that? Then, despite what this presentation says, there are also 3 types of conditions in Latin that use the subjunctive. So it should say subjunctive conditions, but oh well, so correct this. So the 3 types of conditions in Latin that use the subjunctive are the past contrary to fact, the present contrary to fact, and the future less vivid. So they are either contrafactual, so opposed to reality, or implausible. So the first 2 clearly are contrafactual, and then the future less vivid is implausible. So let's see what that means. So the past contrary to fact expresses an unreal condition in the past. We know what the past is, and we can talk about what could have been, but in fact was not. So if he had mowed the lawn, he would have wanted ice cream. But the reality is, he didn't mow the lawn. Okay, so we're talking about something that is not reality, was not reality. Right? If he had had a torch, we would not have been afraid. But in fact, he did not, so we were. Is the English condition clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And you see how we're using a pluperfect indicative. If he had mowed the lawn in English, he would have wanted. Well, we have a different one in the protasis. If he had had a torch, that's a pluperfect indicative. For Latin, since it's unreal, we use not an indicative, but a subjunctive. We use the pluperfect subjunctive. Citidum. I know I'm reinforcing this, I'm expecting a lot, but anyone have the pluperfect subjunctive ready to pull out of their pocket?
Habu erat?
That's a pluperfect indicative.
Oh, habuit?
Habuiset.
Oh, habuiset.
If he had had a torch, non timuisemus. We would not have been afraid. So use the pluperfect subjunctive for a past contrary to fact. So the next one, of course, is a present contrary to fact. So can anyone come up with, let's use the mowing the lawn example. Can anyone do the English example of the present contrary fact in English. Tell us something that's not true in the present. Look outside, see that whoever he is not in fact mowing the lawn today, and then saying, if in fact that was the case, if in fact.
Wait, can you say
Rachel.
that one more time?
Yeah. So I'm asking you to, without going to the next slide, give my example. If he had mowed the lawn, he would have wanted ice cream, not as a past contrary to fact, but as a present contrary to fact. So it might help you to be able to look out the window if you have a window and see in fact that there is nobody mowing the lawn.
If he were mowing the lawn,
If he were mowing the lawn,
Okay.
now
he
we
would
would
hear
the lawn. Yeah, or he would want ice cream, whatever it is. Yes. So this is an example of where we use our subjunctive. If he were mowing the lawn. If he had a torch, we would not be afraid. But in fact, he is not mowing the lawn, so we cannot hear the lawnmower, right? If he were mowing the lawn right now, then that condition would lead to a certain result. We would hear the lawnmower, but it's not true because he isn't, and so it's an unreal condition in the present time. And it's sort of helpful that our subjunctive looks a little bit like our imperfect indicative, right? If he were mowing the lawn, we were mowing the lawn. It's sort of similar, not the same. Because he was mowing the lawn is the imperfect. He were mowing the lawn is the subjunctive. But that's helpful because in Latin, to express a contrary to fact condition, you use the imperfect subjunctive. Present contrary to fact condition is the imperfect subjunctive. So, si taidam haberet, imperfect subjunctive, non timeremus, it should say, but it says timere. If he had torch, he would not be afraid. Okay, whatever. And then finally, the last condition expresses an improbable condition in the future. We can't talk about something that's actually contrafactual because the future hasn't happened and the facts aren't in yet, and so it can't be contrafactual, but we can suggest that we think probably it's not going to happen. So if he should win the race, I would eat my hat. Like, he's never trained, so it's really unlikely. So it's not, if he wins the race, I will eat my hat, future more vivid. That's a total possibility. He's been training a long while. He's, whatever, an excellent runner, or whatever he does. Fairly probable, but if you just think, like, there's no chance. If he should win the race, it's future less vivid. I would eat my hat. If you should desire money, we would give it. But you're a millionaire, so the odds are you're not going to. Or whatever it is. So for the future less vivid condition, we use the present subjunctive in Latin. We don't have a future subjunctive, so we can't use it, so we use the present. Si pecuniam optes, if you should desire money, donemus, we would give it. Questions? That was a lot, I know. But
yeah, I mean, I understand it theoretically, so I just
you
require
understand the
something. Yeah.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do some review.
Just need to work with
Three
it more.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm gonna do some work with you also. So there are three indicatives and three subjunctives. Three conditions that use indicative, three conditions that use the subjunctive. What are the conditions that use the indicative? Nathan?
More vivid, or so the future conditions.
Yeah. We're talking about all conditions. So the future
So
more vivid.
Future more vivid.
And then, so we have a present, a future, a past, a present, and a future, right? There's the three basic
Yeah.
types of time:
So it's
past, present, and future, in both conditions. So past, what is it called?
past. There's a past to contrary. Past
No.
contrary.
So the past contrary to fact is not real, so it's not going to use in the particular.
Past general.
Past general, yep, that could be real, so we can use an indicative. Past general, present general, and future more vivid. And then, Rachel, what are the three conditions that use the subjunctive?
Subjunctive. Past contrary to fact, present
Past
contrary to
contrary.
fact, and future less vivid.
Future less vivid, right? And we're not going to say future general and future contrary to fact because of the
We don't know.
reality of it's not established, so we can't have facts yet. Here's some examples of conditions in English. And I'm just going to read them and give you a few seconds and then see, can you tell me what type of condition they are? Now, if you want to try to get a box to put these all in, you can think, okay, I've got to figure out what time is it. Is it past, present, or future? Right? If I pick one of those, then I've ruled out 4 of the 6 options. And then ask myself, is it possible or is it very impossible or highly unlikely? You know? So, and that will tell you, is it general or contrary to fact, or in the future, is it more vivid or less vivid? Okay. So, Corey, if a man was a slave in ancient Rome, he could not marry.
Yeah, so that seems factual. So I'm going to say that it's going to be past general.
Past general, right? It's a statement about the past, clearly, about 2,000 years past. Yep, if a man was a slave, it's in the past, and there were actually slaves, right? People were slaves in ancient Rome, so it's theoretically possible. If a man was a slave, he could not marry. Nathan, if you are here, you are in Latin class. Oh, Corey's gone. Nathan, are you there?
I have
Great.
Corey is gone. Can you see me?
I can see you, and I have Corey's gone, and now
Oh, okay. Now Nathan's gone
Nathan's
too.
gone. And I have no idea what's happening.
Either.
So I'll just invite them again, but
Okay, we got Nathan.
Nathan's back.
Okay, was that me? Was that everyone?
Well, Corey disappeared and then you disappeared. Rachel and I were left very confused.
I don't know what happened.
Well, we're glad to see you.
I'm back.
So we'll keep going and hope Corey can join us. So if you are here, you are in Latin class.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are here, that's theoretical.
Mm-hmm. As all conditions are.
Yeah. So if you, and that's past.
Well, if you are here, you are in Latin class.
Oh, I thought you said if you were. If you are here. So that's general, simple general.
Yeah, it's present, right?
Present.
If you're in Latin class, you are in. I mean, if you are here, you are in Latin class. We're talking about reality now, and it's not. If you were here, you would be in Latin class, right? If Corey were here, he would be talking to us, but he's not actually. So, contrary to fact, present contrary to fact. But if you are here, you are in Latin class. You are in fact here. Okay, present simple. Yep. If you see the play tomorrow, you will laugh. Rachel, can you tell us what sort of
If you see the play tomorrow, you will laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to assume it's a comedy, so future more vivid.
Yes, right.
And so then the indicative.
Yeah, it's future, and it sounds like, okay, probably will. The way we do a future less vivid in English is we use should and would.
Okay.
So in English, the future more vivid is present and then a future indicative. And then in the future less vivid, we use should, would. If you should see the play tomorrow, but, like if you're booked 9 to 10, right? So if you should, however, you would laugh.
Like, should you see the play tomorrow, you would laugh. Would be like future less vivid then.
Would it be a future less vivid condition? Exactly. If I had not eaten yesterday, I would have been hungry. You can see I'm throwing in these words at tomorrow, here, and today to help you because. So if I had not eaten yesterday, I would have been hungry. Nathan, we'll go back to you.
I had not.
If I had not eaten
So that's
yesterday, I would have
less
been hungry.
vivid.
Well, tell me what time it is. What is it talking about? Past, the present, or the future?
Past. So that'd be contrary to fact.
It's contrary to fact, right?
Past contrary to fact.
If I had not eaten yesterday, I would have been hungry
Yeah, past contrary
all
to
day.
fact. Yeah.
But in fact, thank goodness, I had food and I consumed it, so I was not hungry all day. Yeah. Corey, are you here actually? I see his little icon. Corey's not here. So, hello. I have to go on. If y'all were not here, I would not be teaching class. Rachel?
If you all were not here, I would not be teaching class. Present and contrary to fact, because we are here.
You are, in fact, here. How about, if I should visit Greece next year, I would go to Nafplio. Nathan?
Less vivid.
Yes,
Less
it's
vivid.
future less vivid. Good. Yeah, it's future. If I should visit Greece next year, but, I'm a grad student, so I'm not gadding around Europe all the time. But if I should, someone wants to give me a plane ticket to Greece, what I would do is visit Nafplio. Okay. Yeah, good. So, again, not again. One confusion that some people have is that the less vivid or contrary to fact somehow make the connection between the condition and the result, the protasis and the hypothesis, less intense or less concrete. That's not the case. We're telling it something is less vivid or contrafactual because you think either the condition, the protasis, cannot have taken place or did not take place or is not taking place or probably won't. So there's still a very tight connection between the condition and the result, right? If I should visit Greece, I would return to Nafplio, right? The visiting Greece is always going to, and everywhere going to trigger my going to this little in the Peloponnese, but I don't think it's very likely that I will visit Nafplio. Or if I had not eaten yesterday, I would have been hungry, right? The causation of not eating and hungry is always going to be connected, but we're just saying the truth of the condition, the condition lacks truth. It's just not true. I did, in fact, eat, so that didn't cause the hypothesis. Is that clear? Sometimes I explain things and then make them confusing. So.
Will we be asked to identify, I guess, what are the words? The apodosis and protasis?
Yeah, the protasis and hypothesis?
Protasis, yeah.
Not in the quiz. In the quiz, actually, I should tell you, I'm going to ask you to parse a few verbs, and then I'm going to give you a couple of conditions using the vocab that you know, and ask you to translate them and then tell me what sort of condition it is.
So I'd say that again. I'm sorry.
Yep, so I'll give you some verbs and ask you to parse them. So tell me what person, number, tense, and mood they are. And then I will also ask you, I will give you, I think, maybe 2 conditions, maybe 3, but I think 2. Conditions in Latin, and ask you to translate them, and then to also tell me what sort of condition it is. You don't need to tell me which is the protasis and the apodosis, but it's pretty easy. The one that starts with C, or if in English, is the protasis. And the one that doesn't is the apodosis.
So you'll give us 2 conditions in English and ask us to translate
In Latin.
And ask us
You're
to identify
into
the
English.
condition and then translate to English.
Okay.
Sorry, Court just being open, so.
And then you said of the vocab words we know, will that include the Unit 2 ones? Like, should we have those in our memory? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, do I tell you what to prepare for the quiz? No. Huh, I should give you that. I have a whole list of what you should be preparing for each quiz, but I didn't post it. So I can tell you, but I should also post that. So you want to be sure that you know all tenses of the indicative, the first and second conjugation, the first declension, of course, and then Unit 2 vocab. So actually for parsing, I'm not going to give you any subjunctives. You should start learning them. I will the next quiz, but just because that was sort of
So no subjunctive in this quiz.
say that again?
So no subjunctive on the quiz tomorrow.
I will not ask you to parse any subjunctives.
Okay, so just the indicative.
I may use a condition with a subjunctive, so you
Okay.
need to recognize it, but I'm not going to
Got it.
ask you to parse any.
Yeah. And you said study all the vocab too for Unit 2, right? Got it.
Yeah, and that's from here on out. Today, study
Every-
vocab 2,
Yeah.
tomorrow, Unit
vocab
3,
3. Got it.
and yeah.
Cool.
Okay. There's one last thing that I need to tell you, and it's unfortunate, but it's because of reality and it's not Latin's fault. Sometimes there are mixed conditions. Oh, that sounds horrible. But look at this, right? If you had mowed the lawn yesterday, we would be having a picnic there now. So what kind of condition is it? Well, when is the protasis talking about? What time is the protasis talking about?
Past.
Past, right? Contrary to fact. If you had mowed the lawn, but in fact you didn't. So if you had mowed the lawn yesterday, we would have eaten lunch there. Yesterday is easy past contrary to fact. But reality is such that you can say, if you had mowed the lawn yesterday, we would be having a picnic on the lawn today, right? So the apodosis is in fact a present contrary to fact, right? But there's nothing new to learn, right? You just need to remember that reality doesn't always divide into neat boxes of past, present, and future. Like, if I had not had my coffee this morning, I would be much less coherent right now. That makes sense, right? But it's a mixed condition because the past has results on the present, so I can say a past contrary to fact, a protasis. If I had not had my coffee this morning, I would now, present contrary to fact, be less coherent. Okay, Corey, you're back.
I think so.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
I might be lagging too. So
A
Okay.
little bit.
Are there any questions on conditions? Okay, then let's take the last 10 minutes and go to page 43 and do drill number 2.
Oh no, I think we lost Corey again.
Oh, this is sad. Well, you'll just have to watch a video of our fascinating conversation.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. That reminds me about video. Did you post yesterday's too?
So I don't post them. I think
Or
you ought
email
to be able to have access to them, but I don't actually know how you would go about finding them.
Because you emailed the first video to us.
Yeah.
Did I email that to all of you?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yes, I can do that. Now I think you should be able to, because you're contributors to this video, you should be able to find it. Maybe if you go to your YouTube channel, sign on to Google, and then go to YouTube.
Okay.
I think it will probably be there. But try that. If it doesn't happen, let
Okay.
me know and I can email it to you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So see in insula eritis peculiam habere optabitis. Number 1. Nathan, can you give that a shot?
Yeah. So if you will have an island.
Eritis,
No, sorry. If you will be an island. Sorry. If you will be
Well,
an island
not an island, in insula.
in an island. If you will
Yeah,
be in an
or-
island.
Or on an island, as we say
If
in
you will
English.
be. Yeah. If
If
you'll
you'll
be
be
on.
on the island,
Yeah. If you'll be on the island. Then you choose to have
it's
money.
a future. You will
choose to have money.
Yes, or you will wish to have money.
You will wish to have money.
Yes. So what kind of condition is that?
Future. Less vivid.
Well, is it using indicative or subjunctive?
So,
Eritis and optabitis are both futures.
so it's the indicative.
Yeah.
So it'd be more vivid.
Exactly. Future more vivid.
Okay.
Okay. Rachel, how about number 2?
Okay.
So you might want to check the verbs citis and optatis and figure out, are they indicative or subjunctive?
Yeah. So CTs. I'm not sure what that verb is.
Yeah. It's what you learned at the very end, so I'm not surprised that it's not it. Sim sis sit sinusitis sint. It's the present subjunctive of the verb to be.
Present subjunctive.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So
So it's subjunctive, so it's not one of our real conditions, but one of our
yeah,
unreal or less vivid. And
So-
what?
if you all are on the island,
So you can't actually translate this literally. You have to. A present contrary to fact uses what tense? Well,
present
a
contrary
past contrary to fact uses the pluperfect subjunctive. A present contrary to fact uses the imperfect subjunctive.
I'm
and
really
future.
lost.
Yeah, I know. It's
Okay.
confusing. So the past contrary to fact uses a pluperfect subjunctive.
Okay, I know it uses subjunctive, but I wasn't sure
Mhm.
where you got the jump to pluperfect subjunctive. Like, how do you know?
I'm just telling you this isn't. But
Okay.
the present contrary to fact actually doesn't use a present subjunctive. It uses the future the imperfect subjunctive.
Okay.
It's the future less vivid that uses the present subjunctive.
Future less vivid uses the present subjunctive, and then this is future less vivid, and then it's present subjunctive.
Mhm.
Yeah. So isn't that the you all are?
If you are on the island is a present condition. You want future less vivid.
Oh, should you be on the island?
Yes, should you be on the island,
Okay.
or if you should be on the island,
You would desire water?
yes, perfect.
Okay.
Nathan, so si in patria essetis feminas videretis. So what are those verbs? Essetis and videretis.
So that's to be, or so that will. So if
So don't translate it, just parse that first. Essetis is the
So
verb
that-
to be. So
yeah, it's
what?
for to be, and that would be
Yeah,
you. So it'd be
second plural.
if you will be, and then the other.
What?
And
First, you're jumping ahead. It is you, so that's good. But what tense and what mood is it?
It's subjunctive,
Mm-hmm.
and it is future tense.
There's no future subjunctive, so
Future perfect. Or
there's
future.
it's subjunctive, and there's no futures of any sort whatsoever. It has the infinitive plus the ending. I know.
I just don't remember off the top of my head. I can look
Yeah, Rachel, do you remember?
So that it's the infinitive stem
Yeah,
in the
infinitive stem.
subjunctive.
So
So
what
it
is
would
that?
be imperfect.
Imperfect subjunctive. Good.
Okay.
So the
Where's
imperfect
imperfect
subjunctive,
subjunctive?
Nathan,
Yeah.
is the present contrary to fact condition.
Okay.
So this is telling us something that is not true right now.
Right.
If you all
If you all are on the native land or the homeland,
Yep, but that could be true. If you are in your country.
if you're in
could be
your
true.
country.
We want it, that is the present general. We want a present contrary to fact. So tell me something that could not be true. If
you were not,
good. If you were on the island.
if you were on the island,
Mm-hmm.
then you would see women or the women.
Good. If you were on the island, then you would see the women. But in fact,
Okay.
you are on the mainland, and the women are not there, so you can't see them.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. This is tricky.
Yeah.
I realize.
I mean, I get
I
it
don't
theoretically. I just got it. I said it a million times, but
Yeah. No, and it's been 3 hours, and your brains, understandably, need to take a break. But I just want to do a few more, just to solidify a little bit more. Rachel, will you take number
So
4?
this one's one. So it's not present
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's got the regular stem for to be. So it's not. Yeah, it's not present.
It's not present or not is not imperfect. Yep, it's one either perfect or pluperfect subjunctive. And which one is it?
Okay. Perfect. It's got the ISSE, which would make it pluperfect.
Mm-hmm.
So
So what condition uses the pluperfect subjunctive?
say it one more time.
What condition uses the pluperfect subjunctive?
So pluperfect subjunctive.
Mm-hmm.
What condition is that?
Yes. So it's one of the ones that is not real, right? Because we're using the subjunctive. So is
Okay.
it
So pluperfect. It's Past.
Past
Contrary
contrary to fact. Great. So then can you translate that?
So, had you
Mm-hmm.
been in your country,
Mm-hmm.
you would have
Mm-hmm.
been frightened by the shouting
You would have been afraid
of the
to
shouting.
to shout, actually. That's the
To shout.
infinitive. So you
Afraid.
would have been afraid to shout.
Okay.
Good. Teaching these things gives me so much sympathy for people who have to learn English as a second language. Because you are all struggling with these helping verbs, and you are native English speakers who speak very, very well, right? It's not like you struggle to speak on an everyday basis, but we have all these helping verbs, and they're, yeah, I'm glad I don't know how to think through how to figure that out. So there you go. That was a lot. I realize that fact. We sort of go back and forth. Sort of right now, we're having like an intense day and a little reprieve, and then another sort of more intense day. So tomorrow will be a little less intense than today.
Okay.
We have a little more time to absorb.
Good, because yesterday, today wasn't. I thought today was intense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was intense. Like, we just learned all of the tenses of the indicative and
So
subjunctive.
many tenses, so many conditions.
That's a lot. And then conditions, which you do know how to use, but probably have never been taught conditions. I was never taught conditions until I started studying a foreign language. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and just so you know, the way this book is set up, it's more intense at the beginning. Probably the most intense module is module 1. And the reason they do it is so that you've got the latter half to really absorb and really, really become very comfortable. So by the end of this, you'll be reading Latin pretty well, because you'll have been doing these for a really long time. But that does mean that the first week is a little bit seasick, because you're learning so much. So, okay.
Okay.
Good. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Have a nice afternoon.
All right. Thanks. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye.